This right here, ladies and gentlemen, this was the next step that the Prime Minister took. This is the Prime Minister Modi with the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, and several other dignitaries at the National Science Foundation headquarters in Alexandria. And it's important to note over here that, the Prime Minister said that India is working on multiple projects with the National Science Foundation. What this project was all about, what was the purpose of this project. He's also tweeted out, thanking the First Lady of the United States, saying that, he appreciates that Dr. Jill Biden accompanied him on this particular event, because the idea is that, skilling and helping the future generation in terms of skilling themselves is of utmost importance. Let's listen in actually to what the Prime Minister actually had to say at the Education, Skill and Innovation. This particular reaction coming from the National Science Foundation's headquarters in Alexandria. He spoke about talent, education, skill and innovation. Prime Minister Modi, ladies and gentlemen, let's quickly listen into it.
हमारी वर्तमान और आने वाली पीढ़ियों को एक बेहतर भविष्य सुनिश्चित करने के लिए ये हम सभी का दायित्व है। इस उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए आवश्यक है एजुकेशन, स्किल, इनोवेशन, और भारत में हमने इस दिशा में कई प्रयास किए हैं। हमने नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में शिक्षा और स्किलिंग को इंटीग्रेट किया है। हमने स्कूलों में लगभग 10,000 अटल टिंकरिंग लैब्स उसकी स्थापना की है, जहां बच्चों को तरह तरह के इनोवेशन करने के लिए सभी प्रकार की सुविधाएं दी जा रही हैं। हमने युवा एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को प्रोत्साहित करने के लिए स्टार्टअप इंडिया मिशन शुरू किया है। हमारा लक्ष्य इस डेकेड को टेक डेकेड या टेकेड बनाने का है। आज भारत और अमेरिका को ग्रोथ का मोमेंटम बनाए रखने के लिए एक पाइपलाइन ऑफ टैलेंट उसकी भी जरूरत है। जहां एक और अमेरिका के पास उच्च कोटि के शिक्षण संस्थान है, एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजीज है, वहीं भारत के पास विश्व की सबसे बड़ी युवा फैक्ट्री है। और इसलिए मुझे विश्वास है कि भारत और अमेरिका की साझेदारी सस्टेनेबल और इंक्लूसिव ग्लोबल ग्रोथ का इंजन साबित होगी। अमेरिका में कम्युनिटी कॉलेज द्वारा निभाई जा रही अहम भूमिका के लिए मैं हृदय से आप सबका बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन करता हूं। फ्रेंड्स, भारत और अमेरिका के बीच शिक्षा और रिसर्च में आपसी सहयोग के लिए मैं जरूर कुछ विचार साझा करना चाहता हूं। इस साझा प्रयास में जरूरी है कि गवर्नमेंट, इंडस्ट्री, एकेडेमिया, टीचर्स और स्टूडेंट्स सभी को शामिल किया जाए। एक इंडिया यूएस टीचर्स एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत के विषय हम सोच सकते हैं। दुनिया भर में फैले साइंटिस्ट और एंटरप्रेन्योर्स का भारत के संस्थानों के साथ एंगेजमेंट बढ़ाने के लिए हमने 2015 में ज्ञान ग्लोबल इनिशिएटिव ऑफ एकेडमिक नेटवर्क अभियान शुरू किया था। मुझे बताते हुए खुशी है कि इसके तहत अब तक यूएस से 750 फैकल्टी मेंबर्स भारत आ चुके हैं। मैं यूएस में शिक्षा और रिसर्च से जुड़े सर्विंग और रिटायर्ड लोगों से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वे अपनी छुट्टियां, खासतौर पर विंटर ब्रेक, भारत में बिताएं।
Well, you know what, Varghese, that's not all. Jill Biden said that if we want our economies to be strong, we have to invest in young people. And this coming in from the same event. Let's quickly listen into what the First Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden, had to say at the event.
Governments. We're celebrating the families and friendships that span the globe, those who feel the bonds of both of our countries. After years of strengthening ties, the U.S.-India partnership is deep and expansive as we jointly tackle global challenges. Mr. Prime Minister, I know that education is an issue close to your heart, as it is to mine. You work to ensure that all Indians, especially girls, which I love, have the opportunity to pursue an education and gain the skills they need for our modern workforce, and it's so important. It's exciting to be able to show you some of the innovative programs our schools and businesses are creating for students here. And I'm so glad to be joined by Ambassadors Garcetti and Sandow. Williams, Anshul, thank you for sharing your stories. Mr. Mehrotra, Dr. Williams, thank you for your insights and for your work. And finally, we're so grateful to the National Science Foundation for hosting us. There are students in this room who are discovering the inner workings of semiconductors, starting in middle and high school, or training for other cutting-edge jobs. And as established businesses are transformed by new technology, as industries that didn't exist a decade ago are created, this kind of training is more important to our future than ever. If we want our economies to be strong, we need to invest in young people who are our future. We need to ensure that they have the opportunities that they deserve. Through Joe's Investing in America agenda, we're creating millions of good jobs in growing industries like clean energy and manufacturing. And we're bringing together our entire administration, including agencies like NSF, to partner with employers, unions, schools, and local governments so we can ensure that students have what they need to pursue these careers. That's the Biden education pathway. It starts with free, high-quality, universal preschool and creates a high school experience that prepares students for their next steps. It provides 2 years of affordable community colleges and opens up avenues if you decide to go to a 4-year college. That's how we build the future of our workforce. Education is the cornerstone of the bond between India and the United States, one we hope to keep strengthening and building with this visit. Our universities are partnering together, leading research, creating apprenticeships and internships that span the ocean. And as we've seen here, students from both countries are learning and growing alongside of each other, discovering the people they want to become, and building a better world together. Working side by side, our nations can create a safer, healthier, more prosperous future for everyone. So again, to Prime Minister Modi and the entire Indian delegation, thank you for joining us, and we wish you a memorable visit.
Well, it certainly already is a memorable visit, isn't it? Dr. Jill Biden talking about, students in their, primary education now learning about semiconductors. And semiconductors, it seems like, is the word to go. The Prime Minister has also met with several, top businessmen and CEOs as well, from the likes of Micron CEO Sanjay Mehrotra, General Electric CEO H. Lawrence Culp Jr., he's got Gary Dickerson from Applied Materials, several of those names. And, these are top names. And take a look at those visuals. Semiconductors, there are semiconductors, that seems to be the name of the game. We're also learning at this point in time that Dhruv Jaishankar, who's the son of External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, he's giving a reaction. Let's quickly cut across.
To the U.S. He's visited many, many times before. The significance, I think, will be to showcase how broad the relationship is and how on almost every big issue today, India and the U.S. are in discussions, are in conversation, and in many of those areas, perhaps most of those areas, they are cooperating as well. And I think we will see elements of that showcased over the next few days.
So when you look at the relationship between India and US from the domain of defense, trade, healthcare, education, technology, we know that defense is something which is high on agenda. What will you say on that?
So defense is, hopefully we'll see some progress on that. There's some expectations. I think that it's still being negotiated now, but I think we will see hopefully some forward movement on defense co-production and defense trade in some critical areas that are very vital to India's future defense industrial capacity and also for Indian national security. But I would also say that defense is part of a larger issue on many areas of technological security and economic security as well. The US and India are aligning very closely and cooperating very closely.
So how much do you think China is going to be the focus between the two areas? As we know, it has been aggressive in the Indo-Pacific. Also, we are seeing the Russia-Ukraine conflict. How much do you think that both these topics will come up during the discussions?
I mean, there's some of the big issues shaping the world today. I would say on China, clearly India and the US have similar concerns about China's rise and have been on the receiving end of Chinese aggression and are concerned about Chinese aggression, and that is obviously getting the India and the US to cooperate more closely together. On the other hand, the India-US relationship also stands apart, and a lot of the cooperation is happening regardless of China. And if you see that on bilateral trade and economic issues, on investments two ways, on student and R&D cooperation, education cooperation, a lot of that is happening regardless of the China relationship. So obviously it is an important factor, it is an important geopolitical factor, but it is not the sole. India and US are not defining themselves because of China. On Russia, I think it is just a much more immediate concern, and India is feeling the effects on its defense and national security, for its food security, for its energy security, but also for the larger geopolitical shifts that are occurring. On some areas, I think there's a deep understanding of that, at least in the US government. But in other areas where there are differences, I think one of the issues I think Prime Minister Modi has done in the past, and this is appreciated here, is also candidly discuss those differences, and that I think will also take place.
So US and India bilateral trade is now close to $191 billion, and we know that India is the fifth largest economy. It is soon going to be the third largest. This is the trade relationship between the two countries when there is no FTA between the two countries. Do you think that there could be any sort of talks? We can expect FTA between the two countries?
I don't think we'll have an FTA at any time soon for a number of reasons. The US is also not very keen on FTAs with any country, not just India, but particularly with large economies. India, I think, has a sequence of other FTAs it is negotiating, but I don't think it's that important. I mean, the US and Europe don't have an FTA. US and EU, the US and Japan don't have an FTA, and these are some of the closest relationships that the US has. So I'm not sure that that is the end goal that is viable or necessary in the near term. There are many other aspects and many other ways of deepening economic cooperation absent an FTA.
So Prime Minister Modi is also going to address the joint sitting of the Congress. He would be the first Indian Prime Minister to address the Congress twice. In 2016, we heard that PM Modi spoke about how India and US have overcome the hesitations of the past during his Congress address. He's going to address now also. How do you see that relationship going forward?
Congress matters a lot because, unlike in a parliamentary system such as in India, the Congress is very independent of the presidency and sometimes acts contrary to the presidency. And there are also shifts in both, the shifts in parties. We have elections in the US every 2 years, 2 years in Congress, every 4 years in the presidency. So part of addressing Congress is about maintaining that bilateral relation, the bipartisan sense of the relationship, appealing to both Democrats and Republicans, both of whom, sometimes for different reasons, value the relationship with India. And I think that is perhaps why it is important to reach out to Congress in that way.
So what is the focus that you see on technology partnership? Do you think that this is going to be a win-win partnership between the two countries?
I think there's neither India nor US has much choice in that. So for the US, if it wants to compete technologically, it will require a level of technical talent, human capital, that it cannot produce domestically. And one of the places, one of the most important places, it will have to source some of that capital, and this includes for researchers and scientists, this includes innovators and business entrepreneurs, it includes technicians, will be India. So India is absolutely vital to the US's future emergence as a maintenance of its technological superiority. For India, the relationship with the US is vital as well, sometimes for slightly different reasons. That is the need for technology, for cutting edge technology, the need for investment. India will have to look at countries like the US, advanced economies led by the US. And so for that reason, I don't think if India and the US seriously want to compete as technological powers in the near future, they will require a partnership with each other.
So last question, there is a lot of, buzz about delay of visa that Indians get. Do you think that this is something that is going to be a part of the discussion between the two countries?
Absolutely. The visa issue has been taken up at the highest levels and has been discussed certainly over the past year or two, particularly after the coronavirus pandemic. It has been an absolutely top-level issue, and so I think we will see hopefully some developments on that front, and steps taken by the US and also by India to help expedite the processing of visas for Indians, including many Indians who want to come study in the US.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for speaking to us.
Dhruv Jaishankar over there, Executive Director for ORF America, with some pertinent points. The visa issue certainly is something that the Indians have been talking about, be it the student visa, be it the work visa, be it just visiting visa. Today, if you talk about, getting a visa for the United States of America, they say, the waiting is so long, you might just end up waiting for a year and a half before you finally get a chance to get that visa. So all of those particular issues that are going to be ironed out, even as we show the viewers the visuals of Prime Minister, making his touchdown at St. Andrews in Washington, where he received that Guard of Honor earlier, and then left in his cavalcade to the hotel where the diaspora cheered him on. There were chants of Modi, Modi, and Namo, Namo that you could hear all across the boulevard in front of the Willard Intercontinental Hotel. But the entrepreneurs, the businessmen that Dhruv Jaishankar was also talking about, there you have it. You've got visuals on your screens. You've got Sanjay Mehrotra, Micron CEO. Then he also met with General Electric CEO H. Lawrence Culp Jr. And General Electric, it's an important name this time around because we're taking that technology from them. The jet engine technology, how crucial will that be for the Make in India push and the Tejas Mark II that we're developing here back at home?
It is very important because the Tejas Mark II is supposed to become one of your frontline aircraft that would replace your older MiG-21s, and it is a big relationship that we are looking at General Electric, because General Electric also is looking at the skill sets that can employ from India. Please understand one thing about this defense relationship is that most of the high-end defense, like even Lockheed Martin or the Boeing or even the GE, they are looking at India where they can have a series of their high-end technologies being the high-end technology products being manufactured from here. They have been in negotiations with the Tata, they have been in negotiations with several other Indian manufacturing companies that have made it to that quality list. So what they are looking at is that they want to diversify their production base, and probably India is presenting that opportunity for these US high-end defense companies to invest and to manufacture from this region. So when you talk about General Electric, it is not only important when it comes to accommodating General Electric into the defense infrastructure that we are looking at, especially when it comes to Tejas, because the entire Tejas is built on that General Electric engine, and we were supposed to replace it with Kaveri, but things did not go well with the Kaveri engine and still in development, but it has taught a series of skill sets that is very crucial on this.